Good day, everyone. My name is Jeremy Alderson-Smith. I'm Head of Business at DraftWorks, and we're very happy to be here today for the launch of Digital Beanie. Thank you to Cyber for the invitation, and we're very happy to meet all of you for this interactive Q&A session and the overview of how we feel we can assist you as DraftWorks in your whole digital processes and moving your practice into the cloud. So, going to take you through it, give you a nice look through what we have on offer. It's not going to be too detailed. Please ask your questions if you do have any online. Otherwise, you're more than welcome after the fact to book a one-on-one session with us. Otherwise, please go to our YouTube channel. We've got a lot of training videos there with all of our offerings on. So you can then get to grips with the program. The migration to cloud has been fairly progressive so far. Those of you who know us, we've been around a number of years with our desktop solution, and relatively recently we launched cloud, DraftWorks Cloud, and it's obviously changed the way people are working. A lot of people have adopted cloud very, very quickly, and we like to think that we've added a fair amount of value into the way you do things. It's a new way of functioning within your practice. Obviously, cloud brings along a host of advantages such as accessibility. Very, very importantly, a change in pricing structure, for example. So those of you who don't know, it's a pay-as-you-use system. So I'm going to show you how that all works, and then we can take it from there and take any questions. So what I'm going to do now is show you how simple it is to create a set of financials. So you go to your preferred browser, in my case Chrome, and you type cloud.draftworks.com. And if you're a new user, you'll see there is a sign up option. Otherwise, it will default to your previous login as a current user. See, there's sign up. If you've forgotten your password, you can reset your password. Otherwise, you can go straight to login. And there you'll see your entire client list. So let's go and add a new client. Top left, add a client, and we will call it Digital Beanie for today's purpose. Country, we are in multiple jurisdictions. You can see all the countries we're currently in. We are expanding that all the time. We are going into other territories very, very quickly. Then the next option is my framework. Now, what's my framework? Well, that's simply the type of entity that I am producing the financials for. Obviously, we cater for all the relevant types, from sole prop to full-blown, full IFRS listed entities, okay, as well as consolidation. Now, what you'll see here as well is the price for that particular template. If your eyes aren't deceiving you, it starts at 50 Rand for a sole prop, 100 Rand for a partnership, or a trust, or a CC. IFRS SME, probably our most widely used template, 200 Rand only. Please always use the templates. It's got the latest next to them. They've got a little plus and latest. Those are our newer generation financials. Okay, we still have some older legacy templates for our older clients who prefer our older templates that we have. You know, some people don't always want to roll over into the newest stuff, but we strongly suggest that you use our latest template. So I'm going to select IFRS SME plus latest, and then the methodology. What type of engagement, what type of assurance engagement are we performing here? We have all the options from compilation to accounting officer to independent review, audit, agreed upon procedures, etc. Attorney trust audit, they are coming very, very soon. Okay. If, however, you have your own working papers internally, this is not mandatory. You don't have to select this option. Or if you're corporate, it's not an assurance engagement, so this will not be required. But let's just assume we are doing the financials for a IFRS SME client, and we are going to select the compilation working paper. So these are the working papers and the guidance that we provide. Okay, so I'm going to select IFRS SME plus, compilation plus. You enter in the year-end details. What period are you performing the engagement for? Is it less than a year? First year of trading, you've only been trading for 10 months, whatever the case may be. We do cater for further than 12 months, but depending on the country that you're in, those rules change. In South Africa, the max is 15 months. All right. So we're going to select 12 months. Industry, again, not mandatory, but this will, in the future, with the additional tools that we're bringing out, may provide you some nice KPI reporting. So, for example, you'll be able to report on the GP of your different types of clients in various industries. You can do measurements, etc. So we urge you to perhaps use this as well. Let's say we are doing building products, and there you can see on the bottom right my new client price. Okay, that's the value it's going to take off my running prepaid credits balance. Okay, so it's 200 Rand for the template, 100 Rand for the working papers, and I go add client. Okay. Okay, so before I get going to the client setup and capturing information, I just want to show you how the billing works. Now, I mentioned it was a prepaid system. How do you charge your account? How do you top up your vouchers? Well, if you go to the top here, firstly, you will be prompted if your voucher value gets low or your credit balance runs low. You go into your practice settings, and there you can see your prepaid credits area. And if you want to top up, you can pay now. Okay, we support credit card payments, instant EFT, vouchers as well. If ever you do have a voucher, you can simply go and enter in the voucher number. So there are no sign-up fees or annual subscription fees, whatever the case may be. It's purely online. You can pay online and use it like that going forward. Right, so what happens now? Well, it opens up a little wizard. Step by step, what I need to do, my client setup, capture my TV, link accounts, view financials, and if required, we also have the XBRL financials. It's just another format of the financial statements that will make life a lot easier when submitting the results to SIPSI. So I go to client setup first of all. Okay, not too much to write about here. A lot of the fields are populated by default based on your initial setup. For example, the accountant information, the client information. Then you go and put in all the addresses, etc., etc. That's not too complex. Registration number, you can go and populate that, which will pull through to the financials. This area is the statutory information. Again, not mandatory, but you can go. Some people do like to keep this on their database. Okay. But more importantly, the secretarial information, my directors and shareholders, you go and enter in that info over there. So I'm just going to go and enter in a director. So I can show you how it pulls through to the financials, your shareholders, etc., etc. Now, based on the template that I selected, all the wording in that is done automatically. So if I selected a CC, this would change to members, obviously. If I had the trust template, to talk about trustees and beneficiaries and so on. So you don't have to worry about any of that wording. That is all automated. Okay, my general settings, level of rounding, I can do decimals, thousands, 100,000, millions, and billions, and then number of years to present. Right, if it's an entity's first year of trading, you can change it to 1 year. We default to 2 years, current and prior, but just so you know, we can cater up to 5 years. If in the future your client wants a set of management accounts to do some year-on-year comparisons, you can simply go and amend that to show more years to present. Okay, my year-end dates we set up at the beginning. You can amend them over there if you do make a mistake in the beginning. Remember, nothing's cast in stone in these settings. You can always come back and make relevant amendments. Okay, then you've got other options like thousand grouping. Do you want comma? Do you want spaces? Alignment of the auditor's address, heading cases, etc., etc. The wording is all taken care of automatically based, again, on the template that I selected. This stuff will default to the correct ones based on the initial setup. Okay, I just want to touch on this section quickly. We have options on the balance sheet, statement of financial position, to show more detail. Now, you're obviously going to have the detail in your notes, but if you, for whatever reason, may want to have a breakdown of investments on the face of the balance sheet, you can put a tick in investments. So, for example, it'll give you more of a breakdown. It'll say investments in JV, subs, and associates on the face of the balance sheet. Otherwise, if you leave that unticked, it's just going to have one line for the investments and obviously the detail in your notes. And you can do that for a number of other components of the balance sheet, the provisions, other financial assets, and so on. In this case, I'm leaving off, keep a nice concise balance sheet, and then we've got some more settings down here. Okay, income statement by function or by nature, cash flow, indirect or direct, and again, nothing here is cast in stone. You can always come back and change this at a later date. presentation of profit or loss, or surplus or deficit for a club or a non-profit. Okay, so we put quite a number of settings into the initial setup, saving you having to go into the template itself and make the changes over there. Okay, so not too much time. The client sets up. It's all the non-TV information, if you like. I'm going to jump straight to the fun stuff, as in capturing my trial balance, importing my financial information. So I want to show you two different ways of how we can get the trial balance imported. Okay, the traditional way through Excel, where you export your trial balance from an external source, or directly from your accounting package. Okay, we have this little button called Sync. Sync is a third-party application we have partnered up with. It's in beta at the moment. We have an integration into it where you can import your trial balance directly from the accounting system. Now, if I cast your minds back to those of you who know our desktop software, we can import from a multitude of various accounting systems. Now, what we've done with Sync is that we've consolidated all of these integrations into one location. Okay, so again, Sync is a third-party app. If you are connected up, like I said, it is in beta, you can import directly from Sync. So Sync basically is a platform where you're able to consolidate all of your clients running on various accounting systems. Now, we will have a separate session around Sync. I'm just going to touch on it basically. So I've connected into Sync. I've got my companies, one Xero, one QuickBooks, one Sage. So this will enable me. It's not only going to provide a platform for a trial balance import, it's going to do a lot more. KPI reporting, linking your customers and suppliers, auto matching of expenses, and a whole lot more. Okay, so not too much on Sync today, but I'm going to show you how I can import directly from third-party app. Okay, so I go import my trial balance from Sync, and I say authorize. Okay, so this is now going to fetch my data. This is Sync over here. Yes, allow, and it is going to then ask me which client I actually want to import. Okay, so select the Sync company to import into DraftWorks. There are my 3 clients that I have set up on Sync. Okay, so let's say I want to import John's Pro Shop, and I go next and finish. Okay, so now what it's doing, it's going to go and fetch the trial balance directly out of my Sync database. Okay. We all know how tedious linking can be, linking or mapping, however you refer to it. We can automatically link these accounts on import, so you don't have to go through the tedious task of doing your linking. So I'm going to say automatically link my accounts, and I'm going to import, and it's going to import my trial balance with all the relevant links. And there you can see it's imported my trial balance. This was a Sage 1 or Sage Business Cloud trial balance, and there it's done all my linking for me. Okay, but we are going to look at linking via Excel. All right, so most of my work is done for me. I'm just going to delete this and show you how Excel works. I'm going to delete, clear working trial balance. Yes. All right, and now cleared my trial balance, so I can start again. Incidentally, those of you who do want to give Sync a go, you can simply, if you click import trial balance from Sync, you will be prompted to sign up for the beta, and we'll be in touch very, very soon. Okay, so very, very excited about that solution. That is coming very, very soon. Okay, but you can sign up now for a trial. Let's look at the Excel import. Right, so I've exported my Excel trial balance out of whatever accounting system I'm running. And I need to go and import that Excel TV. I go select the file, and I can simply go and browse for it. Okay, so I've saved my file here, TV import, there it is. Open, it now opens up that Excel file in DraftWorks. Okay, just so you know, we're quite a tight integration to the Office products, PDF, Word documents, Excel documents. At a later stage, you can import PDFs, Word docs, Excel docs, hyperlink them, all sorts of things. Okay, just to add a lot more value to your financial statements and supporting documents and so on and so forth. So here I have my TV. I've got account code, account name, debit, and credit. You are not dictated to by the format of the Excel file. As long as it's in Excel, these fields can be sitting all over the place because you actually tell the system where to go and pick up this information. So how do I match these? Well, I simply click on account number and I click on account number. Account name, debit, and credit. It's done. There you go. Okay. So very, very simple. It's starting from row 2. It's importing all of these balances. Now, some of you might say, well, I don't have account numbers. That's fine. That's not an issue. You can simply go and link the account number to the name. Okay. The system doesn't care because it's the links that are important for the disclosure of the financials. All right. Let's say I do have account numbers, and whether your debits and credits are in 2 separate columns or they consolidate in one column, it'll pick up a negative as a credit, positive as a debit. Let me just go and fix that. Account number, name, debit, and credit. And I go and import. And there's my trial balance. Okay. So from here, whether I've imported directly from Sync or from Excel, it's all the same going in. Obviously, you don't have the luxury of automatic linking. Importing from Excel, you are going to go and have to do that. Now we have our trial balance imported. We have to go and do the links. You need to tell the system what all of these numbers mean. It's just a raw TV. So we need to go and allocate to the link codes in DraftWorks. So to do that, I click Show Hide Link Numbers. And I then will see on the screen, on the right, we have all our link codes. On the left, we have our TV. On the right, our link codes. And they are very, very extensive. We provide for multiple levels of granularity. Okay, so if you've got a very, very detailed or a very big trial balance, I mean, you can see it goes on and on and on. We've probably got about 4,000, 5,000 link codes in here. Okay, but as long as we get the basics right, I've got a very, very basic trial balance. I need to go do my linking. You'll notice the top orange bar is a search bar. So I need to go and link my revenue. So I go to my search bar and I type in revenue. And it's going to bring up all of my link codes that contains the word revenue. Okay, so if I go right to the top, you can see revenue, different types, sale of goods, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, different types of revenue, farming, etc., etc. So we're going to keep things basic. I need to go and link that code. By the way, you can see just by looking at the link code where it fits in. So I is for income, C is for current assets, NA will be for non-current assets, and so on and so forth. How do I link it? Well, I select the code I want to link to, and I simply drag and drop. Drag from right to left. And there it's now linked my revenue GL account to my revenue link code. Similarly, we go on and we go look for cost of sales. It gives me all of my cost of sales. And I go and link. And I can go and link share capital, for example. And it brings up share capital, and I click and drag it. Now, we also have an automatic linking button, much the same as when we import from Sync. Okay, it'll do its best to find a match between the description of the link code and the description of your GL account. So let's see what it does. If I click on automatic linking, are you sure you wish to automatically link your trial balance entries? Yes. And there it's going to go and do the linking for me. Another great time saver. Okay, so there it's gone and linked as best it could. And again, you look at the prefixes of the link codes, you can see where they fit in. E, expenses, Q is equity, non-current liabilities, non-current assets, and so on and so forth. All right. It doesn't know what unknown is. I know, for example, that's an other expense. So I can go find my other expenses, and there go all my other expenses. Now, you may want to amend the link description. Okay, you don't want to say other expenses 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And this applies to any of the link codes, your loan account, your bank accounts, etc., etc. I want to call my other expenses coffee. It's a favorite. And if I now link that to my unknown account, it will then allocate it to coffee. Okay. Similarly, you can rename any of the others, your loan accounts, etc. Where's my bank? FNB current. I don't want it to say bank balances. I actually want to give it the right description. So FNB, oh, my bad, bank balances, disclosure description, I can amend. FNB current, And then when I link that to my FNB bank account, it will then say FNB. Okay, so you can amend these, all right? And again, the linking is a once-off exercise. When you roll over year and year, they will be remembered. Okay, so we do have the automatic linking, which will be a big help. You do still need to go through and make absolutely sure. I see an issue over there. I'm going to correct that. If you do link something incorrectly, you can always go and link over it. So at retained income, opening balance, that's the one I want. I can double click it and it will then update. Okay, so there's my linked TB. Now, before I'm actually going to run the financials, I want to do a couple of things. As you can see here, it's consolidated the debits and credits into one column, pluses and minuses, and that's pre any adjustments or transactions. All right, because you've got the option to go and do journal adjustments. Here's my 2020 final. So if I want to go and do an adjusting journal, I can go to financial data, journal entries, and it's going to give me the option to produce a journal batch. Right, so just so you know, we've got different types of journals: normal, adjusting, drafting, overs and unders for materiality, standing journal entry. If you've got an annual batch, elimination batch, for example, in consolidation, you can create a standing journal batch file that will roll over year and year. But let's just say we're doing normal adjusting. I am going to just do a movement just to show you. Let's move cost of sales times 1,000 Rand and just select the contra, whatever that may be, 1,000 Rand. Okay, so I've processed my journal. Another thing I want to mention, very, very nice about Sync, is that it's going to give you the option to push journals back. So no more retained income issues for prior TVs or adjusting journals have been updated. You'll be able to export these journals straight into Sync, so straight back into the accounting system. I'm sure everyone is going to enjoy that. Okay, but right now, if I go back to my working trial balance, you'll see I have my balances in the adjustment column. So my opening balance, my adjustment, and my closing balance. Okay, so what about a prior year? Let's get some comparatives in here. How do I add a prior year? Well, that's simple. I go to add prior, and it now brings me 2020. So what it does, it replicates that particular TB, that TB account, all the TB accounts with zero balances. I simply have to go and import that from my trial balance again. So I'm just going to do that quickly. Click on Excel. Select the file. TV imports. Whether it's the same file or a separate file, doesn't matter. I just want to go and import my prior year quickly. So account number, account name. Now my debits and credits are sitting in the same column. Not even a need to allocate debits and credits. It'll pick up automatically. Just have to allocate one of them, debits or credits. So import, and there is my prior year. Okay, so if I go back to 2021, there you'll see I have my current year, prior year, with my current year adjustments. I'm now ready to go and run the financial statements. So let's have a quick look at what the financial statements look like. I can go and run them out. You go down, pick financial data, if it's SME Plus financials or whichever template you've selected, select to run it, and it will then populate the financials. And there I have my financial statements. Okay, so what will grab you first of all is the familiarity of the usability, the look and feel. It's a very spreadsheet look and feel. It's not Excel. It's our own proprietary system, but we've replicated a lot of the features and functionality and the familiarity of Excel. So it enables you to write your own formulas, etc., as you would in Excel as well. Okay, so let's look at the sheets quickly. We haven't got much time. I'm just going to take you through the template quickly. Sheet 1 is just a checklist. Obviously not part of the financial statements, but we include checklists for ease of reference. If you need to reference any components of IFRS or the Companies Act or the Sectional Titles Act or whatever the case may be. So you can simply reference any section that you may want to check. And the hyperlinks go directly to the various components of the financial statements. Okay, but again, not part of the financial statements, just purely there for reference. Our next page is our status page. Very important. First thing you check, just to make sure everything is okay in your TB, for example, your retained income, your balance sheet, make sure everything's in balance. If there's an issue, you'll have a balance here and it'll give you a warning. Okay, so you can see obviously my cash flow is out because I've only got 2 years worth of data. When you roll over into year 3, about 90% of your cash flow will be automatically balanced because cash flow obviously measures the movement between years. So prior to current year. Okay, so a bit of manual entry will be required on the initial engagement if you don't have 3 years worth of balances. And you can see there it's directly connected to my PPE recon. So I can see this whole movement in working capital. The PPE recon and the cash flow, they're connected. So when you do your update, your PPE recon, additions, disposals, etc., it will automatically pull through to your cash flow. Okay, but let's get to the crux of the template. If I go to my cover page, you can see what the cover page looks like. Now, you can see down here, even though I'm just doing a compilation engagement, it says audited financial statements. Why is that? Well, that's simply because we include all of the engagement reports, okay, into one template. Save and amend templates when an engagement changes from one type to another. So from a compilation to a review or vice versa, you can simply go and amend which report you want to use. And the way you do that is by going to the top, you go to content, and you can deselect any one of these sheets that you don't require. So if I deselect audit, it changes to reviewed. If I deselect reviewed, it changes to compiled or unaudited, unreviewed financial statements. And then I can go ahead and use the compilation report. Okay, and there's even a space here, by the way, so you can insert your letterhead, but I'll show you that in a second. It's not an accounting officer engagement. I don't need a cycle report. So these buttons allow you to switch the various reports on and off. Okay, so we're just doing a compilation here. If I jump to the index, these page numbers are automatic. And throughout the template, you see the shaded areas. Those are not applicable and therefore will not print. Okay, so if I take a look on this management info page, every single line that is going to print has a 1, automatically populated, by the way, because I entered this information in my setup. And this applies throughout. Okay, in your balance sheet, income statements, only the relevant components of that particular sheet will show. All right, and you'll see what I mean when I show you a preview in a second. Director's responsibility, you can see it's made up of quite a hectic formula. Okay, these fields are editable if you do want to edit them. Add in your own text. If I go to my director's report, here's a good indication. You can see all the ones, what's showing, what's not. Okay, now, if you want to switch a row on manually, you can simply go and change that 0, that's accounting format. You can change that 0 to 1. That line will then show. Okay, and this applies to policies and notes. Whatever I show you on one page applies to all of the pages. If I want to switch off this entire note, you can see how the automated note numberings are updated. Switch them on, the note numbers are updated. If I want to go and insert rows over here for my own additional disclosure, I can simply go and insert rows. Insert me 5 rows, there we go. And there I've got 5 additional rows that I can go and use for any custom disclosure that I want to provide. Okay, so then I can go and, then I can go and type whatever I want in there. Okay, if at a later stage I want to hide that row, change to a 0. No need to go and delete any rows that you feel are not applicable. They are all shown by 1s, hidden by 0s. Otherwise, the entire note is simply the pluses and minuses, opening and closing. Okay, I hope that makes sense. Compilation report, I have compiled in your practice settings. It will ask you, are you reporting as I or we? If it's we, it'll say we have compiled. Otherwise, if you're a sole prop, it'll say I have compiled. Okay. Now, If we jump to the balance sheet, income statement, change in equity, etc., you'll see based on my linking where these numbers are placed. And that's why linking is so important. I link to NA.0 placeholder, 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 and it's put all of my property, plant, and equipment in the relevant section. Trade and other receivables, share capital, retained income, and so on and so forth. What you'll also notice is that we have automatically created lead schedules, if that is what you require. Otherwise, we have hyperlinks straight to the notes. Now, there's no note numbering yet because those notes have not been opened up yet. Okay, and very soon we will have an update to the solution that will auto open these notes, which is going to save you a lot of time. But for the moment, if I click on note, it's going to jump directly to my PPE note. I simply go and open it with that plus, and I go and open up my sub notes, balances for the year, recon for the year end, and so on and so forth. And again, based on my linking, it will then populate these relevant fields. Now, as you can see, if I look at my grand total, I do have a difference of 1.9 million. That's because I had some movement in working capital. I've got additions or disposals, whatever the case may be. So these dark blue cells, and again, this applies to the entire template. Dark blue cells is possible manual entry. Okay, so if it hasn't been automated, you will need to populate it manually. So additions, for example, I can set it as an addition of a motor vehicle. If I go and type that in, difference disappears, and it now, because I've populated that field, it opens that row up specifically. And anything that you do in here will then pull through to your cash flow as well. All right. If I jump back to the balance sheet, it now has note number 4. If I go to trade and receivables, and I go and expand trade and receivables, you can see everything makes up trade and receivables. Now, these particular rows are hidden because I didn't have any components linked to them. If you click, look in the formula bar, if you click in every single cell, you'll see what the link code is used, which link code is used to make up those balances. Okay, and there I should have note number 5 for trade and other receivables. Okay, hope that makes sense. By the way, the lead schedules, if you want to have a look at a lead, you can click on that hyperlink, and it then opens up my lead schedule for PPE. Now, these are the working papers that are included, your leads, and you can obviously use them for a review. So you've got your current year balances, your final year balances, your prior year balances. Sure. And it's got a lot in here. So you can check these various components off. You've got tick boxes for casting and vouching, etc., etc. And you can even sign these working papers off. So if I click on prepared by, it will then go and insert my initials with the date. My manager can then review, sign off. We've got a full electronic review included in the system, but we will have another session at a later date going on this. If we just stick to the basics, go back to the financials. And by the way, leads can be accessed directly from a menu over here, so you don't have to go to the hyperlink itself. You can access them straight from that menu item. Okay, so there's my balance sheet, my income statement. Okay, all of these components that are not applicable will be auto hidden. I don't have a very large TV, but again, there's my revenue note. Open up revenue and give you all my components of revenue. So again, this is also a once-off exercise of opening up all these notes, but like I say, at a later stage, that will be far more automated. Okay, so income statement, changes in equity, my cash flow. Like I said, once you've got 3 years worth of balances, it will be far more automated than if you just have your current and prior year. And as you can see, if I scroll down, you can see that addition that I put in has also updated the cash flow. Okay, so because I don't have 2 years worth of balances, the prior year opening balances may need to be entered in manually. You go and enter that in, and whatever else needs to be entered. But again, once you've got 3 years, it'll be a lot easier to balance. Okay, let's jump to the accounting policies quickly. Works in the same vein as the notes. I go and expand whatever I require. The page, the note numbers are automatically done. I can go and insert useful life depreciation rate, and then simply go and expand whichever policies I want to use. Okay, so we looked at notes briefly. We've got 4 pages of notes, assets, equity and liabilities on a separate page, income statement, notes 3, as well as any additional reporting, new and revised standards, voluntary changes in accounting policies, any additional notes. It's so easy to add additional notes. We've got placeholders over here. So I can add 2 additional notes over here. Disclose what I want to disclose. I can even add another note down here, simply by grouping it. Going group note, auto number note. It now gives me a new note. And there's note number 11. You can even change the order of the notes. So if I click on, if I want to swap note 10 and note 9 around, if I move that up, it will then switch them. There, additional note 2 has moved up from additional note 1. A lot of info to take in, I know, for a brief overview, but we can share with you a lot more information if you book a session with us or watch our YouTube video. Right, so just quickly, let's look at how it looks at the end. We've got a detailed income statement. You can have multiple detailed income statements if there are components. If there are sections of your client's business they want to measure independently, you can have 5, 10, 15 additional income statements. Okay, then just a few other items that we have. We've got financial ratios. If you don't want to use it, we've got some standard ratios, but you can build your own as well. If you do want to do your own ratios, you can build your own calculations, exactly the same as you would in Excel. Well, let's say I want to switch that off. I'll switch that off and it will then be hidden. On top of that, we have a basic tax calculation, okay, with a little questionnaire at the top. So, for example, the farming calculation, no. Small business, micro, yes. It will then affect the calculation of your tax, and then you've got the areas for manual entry as well if you haven't linked them, if you haven't linked those components to the tax calculation. And this tax calculation pulls through to the IHR 14, which you can use as a template for your annual return. Okay, so we don't major in tax software, but we do have a very basic, nice tax calculation that you can use for your client's tax return. Right, so once I'm done with all my editing and my sheet selections and my additions and whatever I have to edit, I then go and select the sheets that I want to include in the financials so I can now make them presentable. Okay, so by default, they are very presentable, but we have a very, very nice print preview tool that allows you to make specific amendments to the layout and the format, because presentation is obviously everything. So I need to know what this is now going to look like. So I click on preview, and it gives me a nice view of what my financial statements are going to look like. In the old days, in earlier versions of the software, you had to do all this editing in the cluttered menus. We've now centralized it here, so it's very, very easy to use. So you can enable a watermark if you're still busy with the draft. You can even choose the format of the watermark, the font, the color, etc. I can amend my margins. I can insert page borders, yes or no. I can choose the thickness, the width, the color, whatever I want. I can insert a letterhead, okay? So you can insert multiple letterheads for your compilation report, for example. So let's say I want to go add a letter. I've already got letterheads here, but I can always go and add more letterheads. If I select my letterhead number 2 and I want that on my compilation report, I hope it's the right size, but otherwise we can just resize it. And then you've got additional settings like custom headers and footers. Okay, custom footers, you can go into whatever footers you want on each of your pages, the format of your page numbers, hash, hash of hash, starting on page number 2, continued headers enabled, yes or no, what's the format of the continued header, everything like this. Like I said, in the old days, you had to do this in the menu bar, so it became quite cluttered. So we've centralized everything over here. Okay, you can prepend notes, left align, where in the margin you want the notes. So many various options here. I'd love to take you through all of them, but again, please consult one of our videos. If I apply, it'll apply all my changes. Okay, and that's what it's now going to look like. You see, I've got my margin, I've got my, oops, sorry, I went too fast. If I go to my compilation report, you may need to realign that top margin, but I've got a nice header and a footer for my compilation report. You can even put in a cover image. Okay, so you can add a cover image as well if the client wants as a nice graphic for the cover. And that is exactly what it's going to look like. And once I'm happy, I click on download. And there is my very nice, neat set of financial statements in PDF. Okay, you can even navigate over here on the side. All right, so just touching on a couple of other things quickly, my file manager. If I want to upload additional documents, okay, so let's say, for example, we have a documents menu. I want to upload additional documents, supporting documentation, schedules, etc., etc. Got a great file manager over here. Okay, so let's say I want to add in a document. I can go add file, select the file, and you can go browse for any PDF, Word document, or Excel document. So let's see if I have a PDF somewhere. Type. Okay, so I want to add Firm Web Sync in as a PDF. I want that available in my menu. So I don't have to go and trawl around and browse different folders. I can actually have it available and showing in my menu. There it is over there. Okay, and once I refresh, it will then appear in my documents folder. I can even hyperlink these documents into various areas of the financial statements. So if you've got a supporting schedule, maybe a bank statement, whatever the case may be, you can insert your own hyperlink, okay, into the financial statements themselves to hyperlink these documents. There you can see I've got my PDF document over there. Okay, so, but if I go back to the financials and I want to say, hyperlink a document somewhere, I can click on hyperlinks, show hide hyperlinks, and then I can go and hyperlink any one of these documents that I want to. Okay, so not only can you store them in menus, you can actually have hyperlinks to all of them. Sure, running out a bit of time here, but just to touch on the working papers quickly, just a quick glimpse. I selected compilation, and then you can see you've got all of your various working papers as well. Engagement, acceptance, continuance, all in a nice sequence. And what you'll notice about every working paper, it's got full guidance relating to the standards it refers to with instructions, and then the actual working paper itself. Okay, so is it a new or continuing engagement? If it's a new engagement, it's going to open up the next section. So every working paper is a questionnaire base. Okay, so based on your previous answers, it will then populate the relevant fields or other working papers, and you can get along with your engagement. So go back to order programs, you can see engagement team setup, and so on and so forth. Once you populate your working papers, there'll be a lot more in the menu over here. So I select compilation, understanding the nature of the entity, and so on and so forth. But again, we do have a lot of videos on all of this, and we can possibly have another session in the future, and then we can show you exactly how it works. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed this overview. Thanks for the questions. Any more questions, feel free to pop them through. And again, please feel free to book a one-on-one session with us, or go to our YouTube channel and you can see all of our training videos over there. Okay, everyone. Thanks very much. Nice talking to you. Hope to talk to you soon. Take care.